It's really important that I do this story today before we get sucked into really unreasonable and naive expectations about how the next couple of years are going to go. We need to reset our expectations for the next couple of years, and this should help. Some have been wondering, some have been asking me, emailing me, David, what happens to these anti-Trump Republicans when Joe Biden wins? What happens to the Lincoln Project? What happens to Kasich? What happens to Romney? Do they keep working with Democrats? Do they support Biden's agenda? What happens? And the answer is no to all of the above. I have two quick clips to play for you today, which will in no time at all disabuse you of the notion that these anti-Trump Republicans are our friends. Now, to be very clear, if you take an anti-Trump Republican and you remove Trump, what do you have left? It's called a Republican. OK, they become just Republicans when you remove Trump from the equation. Here is Mitt Romney, strong, principled anti-Trump Republican, right? Telling Jake Tapper on CNN his priorities now that Trump are gone are blocking the Green New Deal, keeping gas, coal and oil, and blocking Medicare for all and blocking any tax increases. Take a look.
I'm not going to talk about my vote. That's in the rearview mirror. I'm going to talk now about how I can work with the new president. I know he's on the other side of the aisle, but I want to make sure that we conservatives keep on fighting to make sure that we don't have a Green New Deal. We don't get rid of gas and coal and oil. That we don't have a Medicare for all plan put in place, that we don't raise taxes on American enterprise. That would kill the economy. So, look, I congratulate him, but I'm not going to put aside conservative principles. We're going to fight for the things that we believe in.
So he was against Trump, principled, voted even to convict Trump on impeachment on one of the two counts. And blah, 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 blah. His policies are still awful. And now his priority is blocking the things that Joe Biden says he's going to do. Mitt Romney, now that Joe Biden will be president, immediately returns to making his focus preventing us from putting policies in place that would be good for the environment and good for people and good for the economy. These are not our friends. And I was wrong because I previously said the day Biden is inaugurated, they go back to being their nonsensical selves. I underestimated. The day after Biden was called the winner, they went back to being their nonsensical selves. Here's another one. Reasonable anti-Trump Republican John Kasich supported Biden. He goes on CNN and says, Joe Biden won. Great. Now Biden needs to do what Republicans want and make sure that the left of the Democratic Party isn't listened to. And Kasich even goes on to say that the far left almost cost Biden the election. And right on cue, I half joked that they would do this. John Kasich actually brings up, we've got big debt problems to solve. It is beyond parody. I told you, you're ready for them to talk about the debt again, right? And right on cue, John Kasich is doing it.
Now is the time for Democrats, and I believe Joe Biden will do this, to begin to listen to what the other half of the country has had to say. But we have to listen to what those folks, those Republicans all across this country has had to say. The best thing that's happened to Joe Biden is the fact that the United States Senate is either going to be Republican or very close, and the far left can push him as hard as they want. And frankly, the Democrats have to make it clear to the far left that they almost cost him this election. And that congresswoman from Virginia warned the Democrats, you want to talk about defunding the police, you'll have no support. And I think this is an opportunity for Biden to talk about the center right and the center left of this country and what can be achieved. Because we have enormous problems with debt, Social Security, Medicare, health care. Little steps, little steps. One other thing, one Democrat told me at some point, if they'd have been more clear in rejecting the hard left, they would have appealed more to Americans who I believe essentially live in the middle. So I think actually he's in a better position today because being pulled from the left isn't going to work.
So they are doing every single thing that Republicans always do. They've learned nothing. They've changed nothing from this Trump experience. During Trump, some of them opposed Trump. Biden wins. Now it's resist the influence from the hard left. We've got to deal with the debt. We've got to find common ground, which, by the way, when they win, they never have to find common ground. Common ground they want when they lose. Democrats have catered to the middle, like Kasich says, for decades. And now Biden won thanks to the activism of the left in places like Georgia and others. So the last thing Joe Biden should be doing is listening to the people. First of all, he shouldn't be listening to Kasich or Romney. And he certainly shouldn't be listening to the people Kasich and Romney want Biden to listen to. I have like whiplash from how quickly these Republicans go right back to their tired old lines. I told you it would happen, and it has.